4. Before you start with the final letter, which was letter C, can you guys just give it a quick read? It's not part of this lesson, the thing that they're going to ask you in letter C. I just want to see if you guys remember what lesson this was
18.
on. Differential equations, right? Solving diffy Q's. So I remember when I addressed this last year, everyone was like, oh God, I don't remember that. So this is nice that you guys remember where this came from, okay? So go ahead and try letter C, and then I have, I think, 1 or 2 more things to do with you guys, and we'll move forward.
I think that wrong. I was
You're probably right. I'll do it on purpose. I just take 2 minutes. What year did I just say this year?
2019.
Alright. What's the initial condition?
0.5.
Okay, so you should end up with a C value of 5. Yusuf, you should check your living. I'm missing something. I don't think I saw a square over your full expression.
Oh, I did 13, it was 8 instead of 82.
You saw 13.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You're not allowed to square each one individually?
No, actually. You can't.
Oh my god,
no
that is
rule.
such a stupid thing.
There's no rule. Guys, I think I'm gonna call it a stupid mistake. It's a common mistake, actually. But, guys, there's still a few of you in this classroom. You usually do this out of desperation. You don't do it when you have time. Please, this is, it's not true, okay? So a plus b, when you square it, it does not give you a squared plus b squared, okay? So I've seen multiple people in the classroom oversimplify things. So they had it correct and then they go to being incorrect, okay? Remember, they're gonna grade the thing that you box in. So if you box in a incorrect answer, they're gonna grade that even if they see the correct answer. Now let's suppose you don't box in an incorrect answer. It's still misleading to them. So if you say that your answer is equal to that equivalently, even if you didn't box it in, they'll still grade it as incorrect. What they've told us is, in my training, they said that an incorrect answer will always trump a correct answer. So if you are correct, then you just for a minute are incorrect, they'll grade you're incorrect, which kind of stinks, right? So just be careful on that. And that completes this packet. Basically, if you would like to take a look at one other question on your own time, it's got a cylinder. This one always confuses students. It's got a cylinder, it's 2010 Form B. It is in your interest to look at the whole question. I've done this one in class in past years, but you know, as the years go on, I need to let go of old things and adapt to the newer questions, okay? But this is definitely one that had related rates in it. It was, I think, towards the end of it, okay? So it's from 15 years ago, but it's totally worth it. Notice that they love the shape of a cylinder and the shape of a cone. They tend to go that route to just, you know, sort of know how to take those things derivatives. And the other related rates question that I've been holding on to for a while, and I'd like to impart to you today, actually is, they put it into the area volume section. And it's kind of surprised a lot of students. They didn't foresee this being such a difficult problem. I don't recall people doing very well on it either. So we've done A and B in class. We've done it already. So we're not going to discuss A and B, but I'd like you to read letter C to yourself and try this problem. Nadia caught this yesterday, but when it says decreasing, you guys, make sure you put a rate that is negative. They won't put the negative for you. Okay, so this is 3/10, and then the 10 goes up, so that becomes -2. That 3 goes down, so. Now, on the AP exam, if they don't ask for the units, or you are in doubt of the units, just stay off of it. But if they ask you for units, then you wanna go ahead and put the units as well. Here, they're not asking you for units, but does anyone know how you would measure the rate of change of the height of this cone, or funnel? Good job, inches per second. Okay, it is a measure of length per time, so I feel like everyone knows that, they're just like not used to it, so when somebody asks them, they feel a little uncomfortable with writing the units. I'm going to be confident with that. Yes, I am. Okay, sorry.
You know how we use -1/5 as DRBT? How do you figure that out? Because it says the radius of the surface, so.
That's an excellent question. It says the radius is decreasing at a rate of. So that must be referring to the rate of change of the radius. My weight is decreasing at a rate of 1 pound per day. So I said my weight, but then I said it's decreasing. So I must be talking about this number that's about to show up is gonna be the rate of change of my weight. Okay? So think of it like that. Hassan's bank balance is increasing at $10 per day. So Hassan's bank balance might be negative, but it's on the way up. Whatever they say, if they use the word increasing or decreasing, that automatically saying the thing I just told you right now, I'm taking its derivative. So for instance, if they say, because a lot of you got caught into this, let's suppose they say the rate of change of the baby's height is increasing. Again, what's increasing? The rate of change. So in other words, what they're about to tell you is actually the second derivative, right? So it's very misleading if you only read the beginning words and you miss the increasing, decreasing part. The moment anybody ever uses the word increasing, decreasing, they're automatically telling you that the thing I just told you, I am taking its derivative, right? So I'm so glad that you asked this question. Yes?
So the reason why we didn't use the volume of a cone is because we can't guarantee that it's a cone, right?
Okay, that's a really good question. And that's happened to a lot of students actually. They saw this and they automatically just kind of had placed this as the cone problem. It had never shown up before the funnel. So expect something like this, okay? On the mock exam, on the real exam, it'll look and sound just like something we've done in class, but don't base everything upon your memory. Be like, okay, if it looks a little bit different, what's so different? What are they changing? Okay, which is unfamiliar formatting. Basically what they're trying to do is after like 60 years of AP, they're trying to make sure they're testing you on your critical thinking skills and not on your basically memorization skills, right? So if you've been memorizing certain things, certain equations, they'll kind of alter it a little bit. You guys saw that with the cone problem or something yesterday we did, which was everything looked the same as what we learned it in the textbook, but then they altered one thing. So yes, a lot of people actually thought that was a cone problem, and then they were looking for like a volume formula or something like that. Do you have a question? Yeah. So that is it for related rates and flow rates. Do you guys remember when we started the section on related rates and flow rates? A long time ago, but I think, if I recall correctly, it was either during Ramadan or it was at the beginning where I said we're gonna have our first class on the weekend or something like that. So we started this section a long time ago, and it does make sense because there's a lot of lectures. You guys will notice that related rates took me more lectures than flow rates, even though the flow rates questions are more. But you sort of need that for a lot of you moving forward in like engineering and stuff like that. Okay? Now, this assignment over here, you guys are going to turn this into me on Thursday, right? Okay, so everyone is clear on that. Again, that's related rates. You may want to give it an early start, and please take it seriously. It took me a lot to fish around and find these questions. So I brought you the best kind of questions. If you can survive through these, then you can survive through pretty much anything related rates. And usually it's multiple choice, but every now and then they've dedicated a whole question to the related rates topic, and most kids will just absolutely bomb that question. They don't know what to do with it. So inshallah, I think you guys are in a good space. Okay, now this lesson over here, I will teach it to you. I skipped certain years. Last year's kids, I skipped it with them because there was other problems I was having. You guys are really smart. You pick up really quickly. So I will do this lesson with you guys next week after the mock exam. I will do this lesson with you guys next week after the mock exam. So we have a couple of lessons, but the priority lesson that I can guarantee you is going to be on the mock exam is this last lesson, right? So what I want to do is I want to dedicate these last couple of days of basically whatever is left of Tuesday and then Wednesday and Thursday to just making sure we get through this. This contains a couple of homework sets. It's got an AP assignment, and the first homework set's very easy. The second one is a bit challenging, and that's what makes this lesson a little bit more on the difficult side. I don't have any main reason for why I left this lesson as the final lesson of the course. I just, I didn't know where else to put it, I guess. Okay, so lesson 26 is inverse trig functions. And the rest of the lessons are basically in Calc BC, right? So one of you guys were asking me about this, so before I get into my lesson, I want to show you guys something. And I've shown you this, I think, at the beginning of the year, maybe it was a different class. But for next year, again, one of you were asking me, is next year important, and should I take it and stuff? So I can give you a little visual, okay, just for you to think about. So everything that is in blue, you guys have learned it, you're done with it, that would be the end of it. Okay, everything that is in blue is this year. The AP tells us that this year's information is about 67 to 70% of the Calc BC course, right? And everything that is in purple, so all of these two columns, little bits and pieces of older topics that you only learn in Calc BC, like some more integration techniques and stuff like that. Literally in BC, like we learned those in like maybe a week or two, and then, you know, we've been done with BC for a while now. So it's not a whole lot more that you would learn, right? So students ask me, I'm not really going into engineering, so should I take the course of Calc BC, or should I move over to like a different course? Now look, if our school had better options, like if I was you and I was going into medicine, right? If they had the option of statistics, if they offered an AP Stats course, I would have taken that, okay? But the only AP Stats teacher here is me, okay? I am the person who is certified to teach the AP Stats, and I can't be doing both things. I used to do both things, but then what happened is all the seniors said, we don't want to take AP Stats, it's too much writing about math, we just want to do the math. So they convinced me to teach this course instead. But if you go back to the College Board's listing, I'm still their AP Stats teacher, right? So that would be, if you're going down the medical pathway, the dental pathway, the pharmaceuticals pathway, AP Stats is always going to be something that's resourceful. Now here's the nice thing. Mr. Arnie already taught you guys or statistics in 10th grade, yes or no? Right, so you guys have learned that, so you have a good solid grounding. And I have a lot of students who go to UWM and to Madison, so I ask them all the time, and to Marquette, how is stats like out there? And they say stats is very easy, we don't even have a teacher for it. They just give us an online course at UWM, and I just take it, and there's like 600-700 kids enrolled in it, and it's just clicking through a few things, and it's a pretty straightforward course. So after I heard their feedback, and I thought about how difficult APs, because every AP is difficult, I'm like, you know, AP Stats is a bit of an overkill to statistics. You might as well just go to college and take statistics, right? So then I didn't feel so bad letting go of AP Stats. I let go of AP Stats in 2017. That was the last time that my students took it, and then I never looked back again, right? So then that left basically transition to college math, which is a hodgepodge of just topics from algebra, business math, and stuff like that. But more, I think the problem is you're kind of sitting next to students who've always struggled in math. So you're super bored, and from going through all of these things, you're just not challenged at all, right? So sitting in transition to college math is going to feel very strange to you if you decide to sign up for that. We used to have a really good option, I think we still have it, of business math or financial math. If you're going into accounting, or if you want to go into something that is business-based, it's good to know those things. In fact, the only person in the school who knows those things is Mr. Arnie. I even don't know some of those things. Like, he works on some really good stuff, like balancing checkbooks, doing taxes, understanding mortgages, very much practical mathematics that you'll certainly need in your life, right? So with the number of teachers we have next year, I do believe that that is going to be there, and it is a good option to consider if Sister Zara is willing to put it back into the course listing, right? So I guess for a lot of kids, they didn't really, you know, after going through all these years of high-level math, they just didn't see a reason to move away from Calc BC. They're like, well, if it's just a little bit more, I'll just finish up. And remember, there's no one AP out there that will give you as many credits as the Calc BC exam. It's a 9-credit exam, you know, so you get out of a lot of courses along the way, and you walk into college with 9 extra credits, you know. You may not need them. It's like you go to the grocery store, you don't spend all the money. Like, let's suppose Fatima goes to the grocery store with $100 in her pocket. She's not gonna buy $100 worth of Oreo cookies, you know. She might only need to buy $10. So the other $90, she has them. Never close doors. This is one thing my teachers always taught me, is never close doors behind you, okay? So this is an opportunity that you have to leave a door open. Let's suppose the job market is bad, or let's suppose you don't do great on the MCAT, or let's suppose law school wasn't what you thought it was cut out to be. I remember a few years ago when I was getting interviewed at Marquette, they wanted my transcripts, believe it or not, from high school. And I was surprised. I'm like, you want my high school transcripts? I'm like 40 years old, you want my high school transcripts? But they wanted my high school transcripts to see what type of courses I took in high school, which was like, I was surprised. And the guy who was asking me himself was a calc teacher. I'm like, why are you asking me these things? But when you go to like the real jobs out there, like the really high level jobs, they will scrutinize you all the way down to like your high school career. So thinking about it that way, I was kind of grateful that I took certain courses in high school. I mean, back then I wouldn't have thought secondly, but I'm like, wow, it's good to have things like that under your belt. You never know when you'll actually need them. And I did pre-med. You know, I didn't really use pre-med to go to medical school, but then because pre-med has so many really good courses in it, it taught me a lot of other things and a lot of other skills that I used and I still to this day use, you know. So, you know, when you make that decision about what you want to take next year, you want to just keep those things in mind, right? And I promise you, you will not offend me if you decide to take a different course. But what I will say is, try not to say, I'm a senior next year, I want to take things easy next year, and so therefore I'm going to take something that is going to be a washout class. You will find that usually that teacher will read that very quickly in the room, and then they will change the level of the class, and you will be like, oh heck, I should have just, you know, stuck to like a different route, sort of a thing. I'm just telling you from experience of some of the decisions that students have made. So it's not necessary, I think, for a lot of you, as I've understood, most of you are interested in something that is, you know, it is STEM based, but it's not engineering, CS. Again, if you're these things, engineering, CS, IT, you know, these are all going to require calc BC. But everything else besides that, no, it doesn't actually have calc BC in their course listing. You know, you can go search up the majors and see, do they want it or do they not want it. So it'll help you to make a decision there about what you want to do with it. But yeah, again, try to make a decision that is more of a long term. Like you're like, is this gonna benefit me later, or am I gonna regret this later? Am I closing a door, or am I leaving the door open just in case? You know. So I've never gotten any feedback from people who did go into like medical school from my classes. Like, you know, were they more impressed that you took like calc BC in senior year, or were they indifferent to it? I don't really know, but I would assume if they're gonna scrutinize you so much, they are looking for somebody who is like really working hard the whole time. Like, you know, they'll go in through and see like, did you take some simple, like some schools have like culinary classes, you know, were you taking culinary classes when you could have been in some of the more rigorous courses? So they, you know, they do look into that, but I don't want to scare you with something that I am not myself knowledgeable of. I don't really know how much they look into it. I myself was just surprised that they would look so in depth of what I've done in high school and in college. Obviously, college I understand, but I was surprised that high school was even on the table there. So it's interesting. So again, it's just for what it's worth, inshallah, to help you make a good decision.
Brother, if I could put in my 2 cents worth, since you've got this time.
Yeah.
So those of you thinking, considering possibly not taking Calculus BC and going to transition to college math, I'll tell you what we did this year. Essentially, the first semester, we covered the entire algebra of conic sections, everything from, you name it, from parabolas to hyperbolas and everything else. So it's a very rigorous repetition of advanced algebra 2. So that was the first semester. I don't think, and I'm just saying this just out of the back back of the envelope here, just because you took calc AB, that you're gonna breeze through that first semester. It'll still challenge you, alright? It'll challenge you quite a bit. And so it'll intellectually continue to challenge you in the first semester. And the second semester is essentially business math all the way through. Everything from compound interest, as Brother Asim was saying, to mortgages, to federal taxes, to corporate loans, to student loans, to credit card debt, done in a very rigorous fashion. It's not like, oh, here's a workbook, go fill it out, and then we'll discuss it and see how we feel about it. No, there's some heavy math involved. So, and that's something that most of you will really, really gain in the long term, because you will get such a deep understanding into how the world of finance, accounting, and so on works. So, something to consider based on top of what Brother Asim has just said. Thank you.
Alright, so let's start with lesson number 26, right, inverse trig functions. So this is a two-part lesson. The beginning part will talk about the derivatives, and then the second part will talk about the integration. I guess one of the reasons I sort of left it at the end. It's good to know both of these in order to do a good job with them. Initially, this looks like this is 8 formulas, but I would recommend to you that you actually copy down the ones on the right side and just know what the left ones look like, okay? It's not really 8 formulas, it's more like 4, and in a little bit you'll realize it's more like 3 than there are 4. So copy these ones down on your paper, and we'll try a few questions, inshallah. We should be done with part 1, I think, by the end of the class. It's really not a whole lot of work.
Did you purposefully leave these questions off the mock, or did it just not come up?
Which ones?
Like any questions about the derivative
I
and inverse?
think, I made the mock exam in December. I may have, left them out, it's possible, okay? Where I got serious about this lesson is one year they gave this topic on the free response. And it was, if you didn't know how to take an integration of it, you got the whole area problem wrong, which is a low blow, so that kind of sucked. I'm like, okay, now I need to teach this in its entirety. So I got a little bit more serious about this lesson. So I said it's not really 4 formulas, it's more like 3 formulas. And one of the reasons why is, what's the only difference you notice between the sine inverse and the cosine inverse derivative? It's just got a negative. So if you want to just kind of keep that in mind, it will help you to avoid having to memorize 2 separate formulas for that first category. But I think those next 2, tan inverse and secant inverse, there's really no 2 ways about it. You just have to memorize them. If they give a question about this on the AP exam, I'm telling you right now, usually it just comes down to your memory. Did you memorize it? If you did, you probably get it correct. They don't really go too far into it. I every year ask my students, did you guys see an inverse question? And they, it's a whirlwind, it's the AP exam. So when you go into the AP this year, just remember that I asked you this. I mean, it's not really for you because you're taking the AP, but for the kids next year, so I can tell them if the students last year, which is you, saw it or not, okay? So it just helps to know whether that.
Student last year's thing?
I asked them, they don't remember, so that's how. Okay. Now, the word arc sin, all right, so that is the same thing as any one of these over here. So arctan, arc cosine, arc sin, arc secant. Basically, the idea is a inverse, it gives you an angle, okay? So that right there can be given to you if you take an inverse of the length that's given on the outside. So when you think about it, this right here is called an arc. So we named this the arc of that angle. So arc sin inverse stands for the angle that opens up to the arc of the circle like that, okay? All right. Now anyway, I didn't discuss these, but what's the only thing between the first column and the second column that you guys see?
There's just an I and the X. I mean a 1 in the numerator and the X.
I know, but how did these things become one in the first
It was
place?
an X, the derivative of an X.
The derivative of x is one. So when has that happened before for you guys? You guys have learned many derivatives, but there was a derivative. They used to have a u prime on the top.
A log. Prime over U.
Good job. Alright, so natural log u, when you take its derivative, gives you u prime over u. And so recall that once you know that rule, you don't really think too hard about natural log x, even though when I taught it to you, I said that this is also a question. But because if you know the top rule, it's more general, it's more universal, and then you don't really need to know the bottom rule. But the derivative of x is 1, so that's still u prime over u. Alright, let's do a few examples, inshallah. Just go ahead and copy all 3 of them down. Again, you guys are really smart. You don't really need me to teach you this. You can just look at the formula and what the formula tells you to do and follow along and do all 3 of the questions. And that's as difficult as that topic gets. Any questions about it?
Oh, is it?
I think I might have a slide for 10 and for secant.
Oh.
That's pretty much it. Alright, so go ahead, if you don't have any questions about that previous slide, practice the tan inverse and the secant inverses. Just takes a little bit of practice. Like I said, at the end of the day, I think if you just find some way to memorize these, you'll be just perfectly fine, inshallah. Yes.
In terms of simplification, like on like an FRQ or something, if you were to have left it before you have the step before that,
Good question. Mason, don't leave any negative exponents.
Yeah.
Besides that, you're okay.
that's fine.
Yeah, I think you'll be alright.
Like if I was to have written 1 over 2 root x and then over root that.
They'd be alright.
happened to the?
So
Oh,
there is one
the
of
cost
these over here, Jenna, so it will cancel with that one as long as you're assuring us that X is gonna be a positive number. And the last one. I mostly brought in a couple of each example in hopes that you can sort of memorize it. I know that you guys have a lot going on, so you don't have time necessarily to sit there and memorize more things. But if maybe try some examples, it will help you, inshallah. The derivation of these is actually very advanced. It would take me some time to teach it to you guys. How did they come up with these formulas?
That's the final answer for the
You don't have to expand the X. Or minus X.
No, you can do it like that. Let me just check one thing real quick. I got this question from the 60s, so let's, you can notice the font is very grainy. So go ahead. The 60s used to have interesting questions.
simplification thing, where the one with the E subtract 2x squared, the Bible to have x is that's for
You'll be alright.
That's what I was thinking.
Does it say that you do that? Because I do myself.
You're unsure of the algebra? If your response makes sense? I agree. Alright. It's 1 plus u squared, right?
Yeah.
Where's
Hey.
A?
Yeah.
The homework. Now, you guys got something due tomorrow.
The classwork form is literally Thursday. And Friday we don't have school.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be Monday then.
Set one.
Yeah. It's not a whole lot of fun. You know, I'm gonna let you know, I think it's probably gonna, just like both of them are gonna show up together. 'Cause tomorrow I'll continue, right? I'll teach you guys. You guys have 5 minutes. It's a required sleep today. So you don't sleep in physics. It looks so bad. Sister Zahira was giving me the side eye.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know you both fall asleep. That's
See, I have a reputation in school. Like, people think, I don't try to be, but they think I'm perfect. So when they walk in and they see my kids are sleeping, they're like, oh, that brother Austin.
Listen, I'll participate more today to make up for it.
It kind of stinks. Like, if you even step wrong, that's it. You're gonna get criticized for it. You guys know what I mean.
You know what Sister Zaha's been telling the freshmen? Every time they're like, they do something wrong, she's like, before you think of doing something, ask yourself, would brother also do this?
She says that?
Yes, she says that.
Man, that makes me so nervous. I have so many shortcomings. I don't know where people get these things from, so. That's scary.
Yeah, well, preserve your reputation.
It will help you right now.
It's not that you guys are like sleeping. Go in the corner and sleep. If it's a sleep day, go in the corner. Switch up with like.
Voices just like, I don't understand. Like, if I don't get sleep a day, like, I'll be like,
okay. There's a,
for 1 month.
alright, I have to say this is a respectful way to sleep, okay? And then like. The mouth is open.
I have the picture.
My mouth, I was telling you, way supposed to bother me. I was sitting in a respectful way.
You're in a respectful way. You're in the picture.
Wait, who took a picture?
This one is so weird.
Bezos are respectful. I'm writing it down.
I'm
Go on
the same way.
Instagram or something, man.
No,
From-
like a picture.
Oh yeah.
Well, like, sometimes I'll be super tired of the, okay, I'm gonna sleep
anyways.
this time.
But anyways, do you have your
So like, I don't know why.
No,
Maybe
it's
it's
not.
not.
It's not your
Personal to
class.
him.
In calculus,
It's every class.
Listen, in calc, I never fall asleep. Like I don't have an inkling to fall asleep.
Oh.
In English, I enjoy it. English. Listen, in physics, I think it's fourth period. In fourth period, I'm always so exhausted and drowsy, and I just.
Who here never falls asleep ever in
Oh, that's
class? You don't
crazy.
ever remember them ever falling asleep.
That's a lie.
Man,
It's really fun.
I feel like history.
Which class have you?
But it has long
No, but I'm
slang.
I don't ever fall
Something
asleep.
like it's so funny because
I used to do that.
Everyone never in class.
Yeah, no joke.
I used to when I said at the beginning. I was like, I could see more house in class. It's fun though because we're doing that. So like I just can't hold it.
There were more classes she went to sleep in.
Should be
Now I
if somebody had a
understand.
camera on you yesterday, you'll literally see me go to
Every class.
You're fighting with yourself.
I was fighting, I swear I was trying, guys.
As soon as I like shifted to like a new lesson, you were out.
This one.
I actually played a sound. I don't know if you remember the metric. I played it.
I remember they said that you.
And I changed the frequency.
Well, I went in the homeroom today. I went to the. Oh, I heard you guys were talking about me. They go what? You guys weren't there last time. You guys and they were.
We're talking about frequency, low frequency, high frequency. Your friends thought that you had more high frequency.
And everybody on Reddit is saying it comes
So I was
to
telling you
10
though that.
You want to apologize? You have to wait until the end of the year because I have a feeling you'll fall asleep. I want to apologize to you.
I have one day. Wait, I've woken you up before.
I don't have.
I've been checking every day.
I did one time.
I enjoy calc.
I slept in free calc.
I've never slept in calc. It's true. I've slept in
Your
calc.
sister has never.
This is a problem. This is
Yes, we have. Oh, no, we have.
She said, my son in physics last year.
Oh, last year, so it felt
She said that. And you told her, no, she
said that you let her sleep.
you let her sleep. And she was like, yeah.
My math was my lowest.
I knew that. I say like.
I would rather go.
I'd rather you.
I just put that out.
It's more fun to like make fun of you later about it.
Oh, yeah.
Just make that time.
I tried, I swear I tried.
It's so warm.
No, I didn't really try. I kind of.
No, physics yesterday I tried it. I'm not doing it again.
No, this is only my second one.
I enjoy calc. I'll give it that. Like, I enjoy the class.
The one during school, I didn't take that one seriously.
One time our
This one's the
AP
April one,
proctor
this
went
is
to
the
sleep.
second one.
I remember as a
That's
kid.
it.
They just like keep me. I was just working on AP Chem. and
I have a
it's like-
voucher left. I'm gonna use the voucher for math.
Honestly, I was for you.
I have a
Yeah.
voucher for free time.
Yeah, they just take it away.
My ACT just came back.
Oh yeah.
How did we get?